Section 1. Breaking up, catching bugs. Let's break up. I never loved you. Being with me makes you feel wronged. Yengo was startled and sat up suddenly with a cold sweat on her face and took a deep breath. These 3 sentences, I don't know when they started, turned into a nightmare that she least wanted to touch. Could it be that I haven't seen her for a long time and I miss her so much these days? She casually picked up the alarm clock on the bedside and looked at it. Oh, I'm here. It's only 4 o'clock in the morning. She didn't know what she was doing here so late at night. Yengo suddenly threw herself into the bed again and continued to sleep. Yengo woke up again and looked at the sky wisely. It was dark. It seemed that it was not dawn yet. She reached out and put it on the bedside. She was stunned. It was empty. Where's her alarm clock? Wait a minute. What's going on with this hard-on and cool feeling? She turned into Yonghua and slept on the snow bed. This also requires a beautiful aunt to accompany you. Yengo jumped up and stood up. The surroundings were dark, but it didn't affect her discovery that this was not her room. Is she in a different world? Traveled through time? Reborn? Or reincarnation? None of it is what she wants. Suddenly, a few pops passed, and the surrounding lights lit up one after another, and a stage rose in front of Yengo, and the spotlight hit the dummy on the stage. Congratulations on coming to the secret room survival system. In Yen Ji's astonishment, the dummy said blankly, "You are about to enter the first battlefield. As the first player to enter, we will give you a gift. Please choose one from the gift options on the screen." On the screen in the center of the stage, 9 squares appeared instantly, each one a different color. Yengo did not move. Secret room survival system. She suddenly started laughing. What kind of funny dream is this? Time traveling into CS. The dummy did not respond directly. Please draw a gift. If you don't draw after 3 seconds, you will be deemed to have given up. Fake? It's okay, just for fun. Then the one in the middle. Yengo said lazily. It was still a dream anyway, and she couldn't win 5 million when she woke up, so why should she take it seriously? Okay, double check. Have you selected the middle one? The square in the middle of the screen emitted a dazzling light, and special effects were used to make it look like a box was opened, which made Yengo laugh. If you dream, you can have a 3D dream. Maybe one day you can buy a technology product online and have a 5D dream. The light fell, and the box was empty. TSK, not even a dream has good luck. The dummy twitched its lips and said, "Oh, congratulations to this young lady for getting a personal loyal dog system." After the dummy finished speaking, Yengo discovered that there was an extra ring on her finger. Then, "Miss, please enjoy the secret room survival with the personal loyal dog system." The light quickly faded, and the protruding stage slowly collapsed. Bump! The dummy instantly turned into pieces. At the same time, the ground where Yengo was sitting first cracked a crack, and then collapsed. Yen Ji's expression changed instantly. Is this really true? The special effects of this earthquake would have no problem winning an Oscar. The world was spinning, and Yengo fell headlong into the gap. She screamed, is this a dream? Is this really scientific? The spinning finally stopped, and Yengo was already lying on the ground. She breathed a sigh of relief and wiped her forehead. Call! This is not a dream. Suddenly, a warm voice came to Yen Ji's ear, like mountains and flowing water. It was obviously pleasant to the ears and heart, but it made Yen Ji's movements freeze. She stiffened her neck and slowly turned her head. No one was there. Her eyes suddenly shrank, her heartbeat quickened instantly, and the dark environment around her was like a silent invitation to death, dragging her into the quagmire step by step. At the same time, a ding clearly came from the system. You're pairing with your personal loyal dog system. 20%, 30%, 80%, 99%. Pair? Matching yarn? Is this a couple watching show? Have you watched too many variety show matching shows? Just as Yengo was getting more and more crazy, the system prompts continued. 99.9%. The substitution of thoughts failed, but the system pairing was successful. From today on, the personal loyal dog system will belong to Miss Yen, and the battle is about to begin. I wish Miss Yen good luck. Fighting? The system's sound disappeared, and the whole room was so dim that there was not even a speck of dust on it. Yengo pursed the corners of his lips and took a step forward. Boom! She covered her forehead as if she hit something. It hurts. Pain? Suddenly, she thought of a possibility, which made her eyes widen instantly. Pain? Will she feel pain? So, is this not a dream? She is really in this dark chamber now. This realization made Yengo tremble all over. Her legs and feet became weak, and she was unable to take another step forward until her eyes touched a string of red letters. A string of huge characters written in blood red. 59 minutes. This is time. The last 2 numbers were beating like crazy, and the red light was flashing continuously. Faced with the situation, Yengo suddenly thought of a possibility. Is this a time countdown? So, she must get out of the secret room in less than an hour. When Yen Ji's information stabilized, she thought, didn't she still have a loyal dog system? But what about the system? Where did he die? Scared into a soft-footed shrimp? Is the machine stuck? Battery life sucks? While she was wildly and pervertedly speculating in her mind about the reason why the system was squished, she was startled by the sudden voice in her ears. Well, it is indeed a secret room. The windows are nailed shut, the only door is locked, and even the fuse on the power supply is blown. There are still 55 minutes left, and 5 minutes of it are spent in a daze. Oh, my master, your luck is really rare in this world. Who is asking you this question? Wait a minute, who was speaking just now? Yes. Yengo remained motionless and asked calmly, are you the so-called personal loyal dog system? What she was thinking was, I am the best. Is this the so-called loyal dog system? Is this a line of poetry that satirizes the master's superiority? If there was a conflict that day, how many times would she have to be drowned by Guwen? Now, it seems that we should connect the blown fuse first, so we should be able to find the fuse. The room is so dark, it shouldn't be too far away. Master, touch to the left. Yen didn't know that the system heard some of his complaints. She responded and touched her left-hand side. Sure enough, she touched something, and then she saw a line of words appearing on it. You found the fuse. Yengo was overjoyed and touched in the darkness, finally touching a place. Sure enough, he saw a line of words appearing on it again. You have found the power source. Put the fuse into this. Yengo asked and heard the loyal dog system reply, well, yes, there's nothing wrong. As soon as Yengo put the fuse inside, she heard a stinging sound. Instantly, her eyes lit up. She couldn't adapt to it. Just when she was about to raise her hand to block her eyes, she discovered that there was a dark lens in front of her eyes. Master, you may not be able to adapt. Still give this loyal dog system a thumbs up. Yenga thought in his mind and heard a voice in his ear. Thank you, Master, for the compliment. Yenga stared slightly. You can know what I'm thinking? The voice came to her ears again. Yes, my consciousness and the consciousness of the lady are connected together, but the only difference between me and other systems is that I have self-awareness. Then just now. Yes, Master, I can know it. Yenji's face suddenly turned red. At best, it was the blush on a girl's face. At worst, it was like a monkey's butt. She hesitated and simply changed the subject. Where did you get these things? Of course it's to help the Master look at the whole room. Could it be that the Master likes to play blind and touch the elephant more? Oh, I'm really embarrassed that I didn't realize that the Master has such a high IQ before. Yengo. This kind of urine that cannot spit out ivory is really scientific as a loyal dog system. Section 2, Secret Room. Yengo was speechless for a moment, silent for a moment, and simply looked at the structure of the entire room. It was definitely a secret room. There was a carved door on the left. She walked to the left and reached out to knock the big lock on the door. The next second, she bent down to cover up the fact that she couldn't move the big lock with one hand. The heavy big lock slipped out of her hand and knocked hard on the door. Dang. My hand slipped. Yengo was cursing in his mind whether to make such a broken lock so delicate and sneered in an attempt to hide it. This is a common thing. As a system that can interconnect with Yenji's consciousness, it certainly understands what she's thinking. But he ignored Yenji's obvious lie and said, this door has been locked, and the key is probably hidden somewhere in this room. The key is hidden somewhere. Yenga thought for a moment and squatted down. That's not easy. Just inside the crack of the door. She was so happy in her heart that she could leave such a ghost place early. You found a newspaper. She opened her lips and said, a piece of broken newspaper. What can this thing be used for? What's the use of cleaning the windows? So clean. The voice of the loyal dog system rang in her ears. Don't throw it away. There might be some other use for it. Yengo pursed her lips and said, oh, maybe I can use it if I'm tired of peeing. Don't be speechless so quickly. People always have 3 urgent needs. System Lord, Master, whatever you say is what you say. After all, you are the Master. Yenga is deeply satisfied with this obedient system Master. Master, should we go over and take a look at the painting on the wall next to it? Yenga nodded. The entire wall opposite was painted black. The only white thing was probably the painting on the wall. There was nothing on the small painting. She frowned and said, the abstract painter has nothing left to smoke. Probably, seeing a white painting under a black wall should refer to something with strong contrast. Master, why don't you go over and look at the drawer opposite? Yenga walked to the table again and asked, has the aesthetic sense of the person who designed this table been eaten away by something? She really couldn't stand the compliment. Such a table that looked like an antique was actually painted in black and white. Underneath the desktop are all drawers, arranged in a 9-square grid. For this reason, Yenga remembered the process just now, and suddenly felt that the designer should marry Jagong. Fortunately, it was just a matter of choosing a system, not a man. Master, would you like to try opening one of them at will? Yenga believed it, and opened the first drawer directly. Why are the drawers with nothing there just for fun? As soon as she finished speaking, she heard a sound that broke through the air coming towards her. She was startled. As soon as she reacted, her body movements became even faster, and she looked directly to the side and dodged. The ground where Yengo was originally was actually hit by a bullet. This is. Her pupils shrank. It was obvious that the bullet did not hit her body, but it felt really weird. A chill ran through her body, and she understood that this system could affect her body's actions. No, that's not the case. Didn't you just open the wrong cabinet? System Lord, who had been talking in his ear just now, was silent for a moment, and then his voice rang in Yenji's ear again. What a unique design. I wonder if the Master feels that his reflexes have increased a little? Yengo! She knew. What was installed in this system was definitely not a human brain, so she had to understand this logic. Yengo wandered around for a while, and finally gave up in a panic. You can't open these cabinets one by one and try them. Maybe I will be the next Briquette. Which one of the Master's intuitive feelings should be correct? The System Master was good at tempting you, but Yengo fell into a violent mood and couldn't take the trick at all. Which one is correct? In my opinion, there is no correct one at all. At first glance, it is a crude and high imitation thing. I don't understand why this thing can be used here to show off. Then, inexplicably, a line of words flashed in Yenji's mind. This is how the Master goes crazy. Okay, remember it. Even if Yengo was installed into the system for the first time, he knew that some command inside the system must have entered the system. Hey, Yenga suddenly felt a little angry, and then another consciousness entered his mind. What kind of comfort does the master want? Option 1, naked. Male body comfort. Option 2, the visual temptation of a beautiful woman. Option 3, delicious food on the tip of the tongue. What are these? Yenga opened her lips. What she needs most now is to get out of this place where chickens don't lay eggs, even if it means getting out. The loyal dog system understood Yanji's consciousness and said in her ear with a slightly aggrieved voice, but based on the owner's hobbies and IQ, these should be the top 3 comfort artifacts. Yenga, this system comes from Mars? Please go back to Mars. Being disturbed by the system, Yanji's mood calmed down inexplicably. She coughed lightly. It's better to get out of this place first. And this is, a message flashed in her mind. Congratulations, the loyal dog system has successfully calmed the owner's emotions. The compatibility point between you and your loyal dog system is +1. Yenga was silent for a moment. Did that on purpose just now? The loyal dog system said proudly, Master, as I just said, this is a system tailor-made according to the owner's IQ. Even the methods to soothe emotions are tailor-made. Yenga was silent again. So, do you already know which cabinet should be opened? Loyal dog system. This, of course, is the leftmost one in the second row of the 9-square grid. Yenga was confused. How did you know? The owner must have just seen the entire black wall on the back. The wall is a large horizontal wall. If the entire wall is divided into 3 parts, the pure white painting happens to be located in the first part of the entire wall. In terms of numbers, it should be 1. And when you see this table, it is wider than square and can be seen as an upright rectangle. Yenga frowned and continued thinking according to this idea. The vertical rectangle, the black area. The system continued. Yes, that's right. If the desktop is also divided into 3 parts, the black area will happen to be in the second part. If you combine the 2 things, the result is very obvious. It happens to be number 1 in the second row of the Diagon grid, which is the drawer on the far left. Yengu opened her eyes, as if in disbelief. She stretched her trembling fingers towards the first drawer in the second row, closed her eyes for a moment, and said, by the way, hey, don't forget to save me if you open the wrong one. Okay. Yengu suddenly wondered if the loyal dog system was designed to act coquettishly all the time. Otherwise, how could such a cute little voice happen all of a sudden? To entertain children? She pursed her lips, and then suddenly opened the drawer. Huh, nothing happened? When she opened her eyes again, she saw a fruit knife lying in the drawer. At the same time, she saw a line of words on the surface of the knife. You found a knife. Is this secret room in knife control? To hide a knife, you have to solve a 9-square grid? Huh. The designer of the system does not allow primary school students to carry controlled knives. She took the knife out of the drawer while thinking, what can this be used for? Yengu began to imagine various possibilities, using it to break the lock. Looking at this limp appearance, there was no need to report before being cut off. Yengu started to shake her head. Just when she was about to ask the system master for any suggestions, she heard a loud noise from behind. She turned around in surprise and just saw a huge flash of light. Section 3. The Sealed Demon King. After the flash, a figure actually came out. Yengu blinked. Hi. NPC, what do you do? The man didn't have a nice face like Yengu. He opened his palms and pointed at Yengu. Take out what you just found. Yengu was startled. Wow, what? What is going on with this person? Haven't you woken up yet? She thought to herself, smiling by the way, don't worry, if you want to sleep, I will definitely not compete with you for territory. Anyway, she was about to leave here. The man frowned coldly and looked like he was not ready to give up. He took a step forward and stretched out his thick palm directly in front of Yengu. Hand over what you just found. Seeing that Yengu was silent, the man's expression became even more impatient. Are you going to give it or not? After a long time, Yengu said slowly, haha, I didn't expect that in a place like the secret room, my 3 views would be maxed out. If you want to like other people's things so much, why don't you rob a bank? The man's face turned red, his eyes were gleaming, but his fingers were as trembling as winter branches. The next second, he pursed his lips, and without further ado, he came over to pinch Yanji's neck. Yengu was startled, but did not react. She waited blankly for the man's cold fingers to touch her neck. In an instant, Yengu felt her own body move. When she waited for her reaction, she was already 2 meters away from the man. This is... System Master's voice rang in Yanji's ears. Master, this is the experimental time for active defense. If you are satisfied, you can take the initiative to turn on this function. Yengu. Sure enough, her feeling of being out of control was obviously caused by the system. What are the benefits of turning this feature on? The system's voice in Yanji's consciousness suddenly softened. Of course, there are various benefits. For example, it can enhance the intimacy between me and the master, and it can also protect the master. The scope of protecting the master can exceed the scope of the master's own reaction. Isn't it very cost-effective? When Yengu heard this, it was as if he heard the 2-yuan store at the door yelling every day, the original price is 10 yuan and 8 yuan. If you buy it for 2 yuan, you can't suffer a loss. If you buy it for 2 yuan, you can't be fooled. She rubbed her brows and asked, then how can I turn on this function? Okay, she admitted it. Although the lines fooled by the system didn't rhyme like those from the $2 store, it still fooled her. The system's voice instantly became louder and crisper. Okay, leave this matter to me. While Yengu was talking to the system, the man who was left aside was already a little impatient. He snorted coldly, but his eyes were on Yengu. Humph, you are lucky, but you won't be so lucky next time. Uh-huh. Only those who cannot eat grapes will say sour grapes, and those who are unlucky will sneer at the lucky ones. Yengu naturally has no time to pay attention to this kind of mentality. She looked at the knife in her hand. What she needs most now is to get out of here. Where is this thing used? A small fruit knife. Apart from peeling apples, Yenji's mind was really confused. When the man saw that Yengo was refusing to answer, he suddenly became angry. He lost all reason and said, "Is that what you got? Bring it." Knowing that such an argument would be useless, he rushed towards Yengo and tried to snatch the thing from Yenji's hand. Yengo glared, but she felt clear in her heart. She was not a holy mother, so she had to give to others if they wanted her. Then should she give her life to others or not? She moved dexterously and dodged with a single movement. The man's luck was not as good as Yenji's. He used too much force, and his center of gravity was unstable. He hit the black and white table with a slight rumble. Originally, bumping into the table was not a big deal, but in this secret room system, it became a big deal. The lights in the room, which were not too bright, began to flicker at an annoying frequency. Yengu didn't even know where the piercing alarm sound came from. She frowned and just took a step back when she saw a few words appear on the black and white desktop. Brute force cracker. She pursed her lips. This feeling was not very good. What's going on? Before the system could give her an answer, she heard a scream from the man. Yengu stared and covered the corners of his lips with his hands. The man on the ground actually had several bloody holes open in his body. Yengu was shocked and took a step back until he fell to the ground. The man still didn't seem to give up. He endured the pain and said in a broken voice, I can't be here. An inexplicable feeling of fear surged into her heart. Yenji's thoughts were confused, but she shrank back until the slightly heavy sound of the system rang in her ears. Master, it's my fault. There are some situations that I didn't explain just now. Yengu didn't say anything when he heard the sound of the system. This tone said it was a secret room system, but it was better to say it was a murder system. Yengu was shocked. She pressed her slightly trembling fingers. Her face and lips had begun to turn white, but she still couldn't help but sneered. Why? Do you dislike the fact that there are too many people in this world? The purpose of this system is to decompress the earth. Ha! What a noble idea! As an ordinary person with only ordinary consciousness, I am really ashamed of myself. The system naturally understood the implication of Yenji's words and continued. The purpose of the system's existence is to seal a character. Seal? Yengu couldn't help but sigh about this word that could only be heard in books or on TV. Is this to promote exchanges between my country's mystical arts and the culture of the island country? I really have little talent and knowledge, and I thought that communication only requires pornographic films. She mocked again, and then asked the key point, who was sealed? The system was silent for a moment. The king of the demon realm. Yengu was shocked again. Don't mention the king of demon realm. She has actually heard of it. One of the fallen angels in Western legend. Yengu always looked at this kind of thing with the attitude of reading a joke book and never cared much about it, but he didn't expect that this actually existed. Yengu started with a sarcastic tone. This system was developed by an old beauty. She paused. It saves the world at every turn. This system's desire to save the world has nothing to do with me? The system master's voice was joyful at this moment. The Demon King was willing to be sealed here because of a bet he made with the Holy Angel. The content of the bet was that the Demon King was sealed here, but a secret room system needs to be created here, and some people are selected. If someone can clear the secret room system, the Demon King's seal will be lifted. Yengu nodded understandingly. The levels in the secret room must not have been designed by the Demon King, otherwise he would be really brain dead. The system said, yes, the levels in the secret room were really not designed by the Demon King, but by the Archangel of the Holy Angel. It's really a funny game. After a long time, Yengu commented and walked around the whole room. He found that there was a gap where the window was found, and there was no problem in getting through a thin newspaper. She had an idea in her mind. She first stretched the newspaper out from the gap in the window, and then used the handle of the fruit knife to hit the locked area above the window. Click, and in an instant, she heard a small thing falling. She stretched her brows, pulled the newspaper in through the gap in the window, and then discovered that there was a key lying on the newspaper. As soon as she squatted down, she received a prompt from the system. You found a key. She no longer hesitated at all, and her eyes became much firmer. I think this key is probably the key to going out. As soon as she took a step forward, she felt someone grabbing her trousers. Save me. Please save me. Section 4. Breaking through the first level. Yengu lowered her head and saw that the person who had just attempted the attack was lying at her feet, begging, Take me out. Yengu sighed deeply and said helplessly, Maybe one day I can proudly tell everyone that I was once a virgin. She bent down slightly and pulled up the man in the pool of blood. Although he couldn't carry it, he could still drag it away. She had just taken 2 steps when she heard a weak voice coming from below. Well, let me do it myself. Only then did Yengu realize that the man was not injured so seriously that he couldn't move. I was afraid that the injury just now was not particularly serious, but the smell of blood finally made Yengu gag. Oh, this is really the best. She muttered and let go of the man's arm. She heard the sound of the man flopping on the ground and spread her hands. You asked me to let go. Seeing the man limping behind her, Yengu felt relieved. She took the key and put it directly into the big lock at the door. During the process, she also used her mind to say hello to her system. What's wrong with you? Are you mute? Or are you being carried away by the upcoming victory? The system didn't reply. Yengu felt annoyed and simply touched his nose and muttered in his mind, How can I break the system when it becomes more and more arrogant? Sure enough, this key was the key to the door. As soon as I put it in, I heard a click and then a sentence appeared in front of me. Congratulations, you have successfully passed the first level of the secret room. Yan jest mi wyd. After the door opened, there was a copycat version of golden light outside, which made her feel as if she had become a Buddha. She pretended to take a bath, and then she saw a stage of whirlpool appeared in front of her. Yengo had just taken a step forward when she heard a scream coming from the door. She stopped and looked back and saw that the person who was originally following her had been bounced 3 meters away. Then he fell hard into the secret room, and the door of the secret room was closed in front of Yengo again. Yengo was startled. He did not expect this outcome. He just took a step forward when he heard the voice coming from his mind. It's useless. This system has strict restrictions. Since you, the master, have passed, you will be allowed to pass, but you will definitely not be able to take others out. Yengo squinted his eyes and heard System Master's voice continue. Moreover, the layout of this secret room will change. Well, it's a good thing that she wanted to have the Holy Mother today. Yengo let out a long sigh and then said, have you already known about this matter? System. Yes, that's right. I already knew about this. This is one of the training courses I need to take before becoming a system. Training session? Yenji's mind immediately flashed to a lot of women wearing tights in dance classes. He could clearly see what size each woman was, so if he wanted to compare, he wouldn't have to worry about finding a partner. It's not that kind of training class. System Master said, okay, Master, let's leave this place first, okay? It's very weird. What if something eats the lady? Yengo, okay. She jumped into the whirlpool. After a while, the world was spinning, and Yengo was finally able to keep her feet on the ground. She swayed for a while, and after rolling her eyes, she realized that she seemed to have returned here once. Congratulations to this young lady for successfully breaking through the first level. Yenji's mood was not wonderful, so she remained silent. The next challenge will be in about a week. I hope Miss can have a good rest within this week. I just forgot to tell this lady. That is, I hope she can go to sleep on time at 12 o'clock every night of the week. Otherwise, she may be forced to sleep. Finally, as the first person to clear the system, Miss can get the prompt to enter the secret room next time. The prompt to enter the secret room next time is spoon. Spoon? Spoon. What the hell kind of tip is this? Do you need to use a spoon to dig out honey? Young lady can also get another reward, which is separation of dreams and reality. I hope that young lady can use it properly. Then, when a white light flashed in front of Yengo again, Yengo stood still and asked directly, what will happen to the person who is just thrown into the secret room again? As one of the players, he cannot cheat, so he needs to crack the secret room again. And if you die in the secret room, you will die in real life. Yengo was startled, and then heard a voice coming from the system. Okay, miss, let's get out quickly. Yenji's reaction was to nod, and then walked into the white light, spinning again. When Yengo woke up, she found that she was lying peacefully in her own room. The sun was just right, so she rubbed her brows, sat up from the bed, and looked out the window. Everything that just happened seemed like a dream, but Yengo knew that it was definitely not a dream. The bloody feeling made her feel sick now. She squinted her eyes slightly and got up from the bed. Just as she was getting dressed, her cell phone rang. She picked it up. Hello? What's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? A party, a party. Don't forget, there's a party we agreed on today. Where are you now? What at home? My sister, my biological sister, do you want it? It's time in 10 minutes, and you're still at home. Come here quickly. Let's get a call. He was beaten. How could he be so unfavorable to someone like Yengo, who couldn't beat him every day and squeezed into the subway? Most of her friends are playboys from rich families, and of course Yengo can be counted among them. But since she was kicked out of the family because of a certain incident, she has become very poor. Oh, and also, she separated from that man within 3 days of being kicked out of the house. Yengo gritted her teeth and slapped cold water on her face. She knew in her heart that even if she might meet that person at the party today, she would definitely go. As she hurriedly arrived at the party, she was pulled aside by her friend Xian as soon as she got out of the car. Why are you so late today? Do you still have feelings for that man? How can it be? If she hadn't been involved in some bullshit system, could she have been late? She muttered in her heart, but with a flattering smile on her face. Slept. This was the truth that even a lie detector could not detect. Xuan's eyes glanced around Yengo up and down, and then she snorted coldly. Humph, with your virtue, you've passed the test. Leave quickly. Maybe you will become the center of attention again. Yengo naturally responded carefully from behind, fearing that Queen Xian would get angry and cause trouble to Qiyu. As soon as she entered the private room, she paused at the door. Chapter 5. Former Best Friends. Why aren't you moving? Xian realized that she was missing. When she turned around, she saw Yengo standing blankly at the door. She felt strange and casually glanced at the room. When she saw someone in the room, she immediately understood the reason and stared at Yengo with hatred. Yengo stood at the door and shrank his head. Otherwise, I still won't go in. Are your brains pretending to be disabled? Isn't it just a man who can make you step on the shit when you see him? Damn it! She will continue to enter the secret room where she will die at every turn in a week. Why can't she be happy? She took a deep breath and said, let's go in. The private room was already lively and joyful, so the presence of one more person would not be noticeable, but when Yengo walked in like this, it became much more noticeable. Hey, look, who is here? The eldest lady of the Yen family? Why does she look like a commoner? Can't you lift the lid of the pot at home? As soon as Yengo walked in, she heard a cold voice. This voice was like scolding a drowned dog, which made her heart feel cold. Zhao Shi. This woman who she once regarded as her best friend was now wearing heavy makeup and sitting next to her favorite man. Yengo pursed her lips, raised her lips tightly, and raised her eyebrows. Oh, don't you know, the most popular thing this year is probably pretending to be a ****. Oh, how did you know? You don't need to dress at all. You're a real asterisk asterisk if you pretend to be. She suddenly felt someone's eyes falling on her, and her last final sound immediately disappeared between her lips and teeth. Looking at the man's gaze, Yan Ge sat down next to Xian Xian. Unfortunately, he happened to sit opposite the man. Zhao Shi naturally refused to be ignored. She raised her chin and said, "Say, keep talking. Are you unable to continue talking when you see our Mr. Chu? Hey, I've never seen you so good at pretending before." Yan Ge bit the corner of his lip, but did not say a word this time. Instead, he looked at the person opposite. Today, he was dressed casually, just a white shirt, and his coat was hanging securely on the hanger next to him. Yan Ge just knew that he had always been very particular about his clothes. Even if two pieces of clothing looked the same, they would have the same buttons. He happened to glance at her with a pair of deep eyes and said casually, "Since everyone is here, let's get started." In this way, it seemed that everyone was waiting for her, and they might even be impatient with waiting. She didn't know if he would be impatient with waiting. She hesitated and ate her unappetizing meal. In the middle of the meal, someone called for some wine, and then she saw Queen Xian standing up. "We finally got together today. Without wine, it's like boiling cabbage in water. It's not strong. Come on, everyone has to drink. No one is allowed to cheat." Queen Xian stood up and poured a glass for everyone. When she arrived at Yan Ji's place, she deliberately poured half the glass and said cautiously, "You who can't stand the torture of alcohol should drink less." Sure enough, these words were directly heard by Zhao Shi, who had sharp ears. She looked at Yan Ge and said, "Why? You still need to have differential treatment." Zhao Shi didn't know what kind of wind he had today. If it were a normal time, he would definitely see Xian Xian walking around. This Xian Xian has always been someone she can't afford to offend, so the most she can do is come here to show off her emotions. Su was so proud that she finally sat next to Chu Emo today. When Queen Xian heard this, she stood up from her seat and looked at Zhao Shi with a little contempt. She was about to say something, but Yan Ge held her hand directly. "Okay, I'll drink." In one sentence, all the eyes of the people at the table were focused on Yan Ge. In fact, most people who often hang out together know that Yan Ge is a typical one-cup pourer. In the past, when Yan Ge was around Chu Emo would naturally protect her. She couldn't bear it. Today, without Chu Emo, she looks embarrassed. Not pretentious and not a Death Star. If you don't succeed, there will be no Death Stars. She didn't know which tendon was connected wrong today, but she still faced the challenge, even though she knew it was a provocation. Anyway, she knew one thing, that is, after the scene, she had to hold the toilet and vomit properly when she went back. Yan Ge had made up her mind, and no longer had any scruples. She kept her head down, sipping a little, and then sipping a little more. Except for Zhao Shi, this party was not that uncomfortable. A few boys in the middle patted her shoulders and said, "Stop drinking." She vaguely felt Chu Mo's eyes falling on her, but when she waited for a closer look, she couldn't find it. Soon, she heard Zhao Shi's voice again. "It doesn't mean much for us to drink and chat like this. How about we play some games?" The boy sitting next to Yan Ge responded immediately. "Play games, come on, what are you playing?" Everyone had different opinions and arguments, and Zhao Shi stood up and said, "Then let's use the simplest way to play, truth or dare." Vulgar. Even the gameplay is vulgar to ordinary people. Although Yan Ge himself doesn't have much opinion on this game, he couldn't help but want to refute it when he heard that it was Zhao Shi who suggested it. Just as she was about to speak, she heard Chu Mo's voice opposite her. "Then this will be fine." Chu Mo spoke very carefully. As soon as he agreed, no one said anything more. Queen Xian, on the other hand, looked at Yan Ge and said, "Are you okay?" "Okay, what the hell?" Her mind was almost muddled, and she was talking nonsense. But Yan Ge is still showing off. "Okay, why not? Zhao Shixing, why can't she?" Yan Ge was completely trapped in the pool and wanted to swim in it for a while. In the first round, she drew the ghost card, followed by Xian Xian, and Chu Emo drew the smallest card. Queen Xian had always disliked Chu Emo. She hesitated. That's a big deal. Yan Ge immediately took over the momentum and said, "Speak the truth. Speak the truth." Xian Xian rolled her eyes at Yan Ge and could only follow her words. "Tell me the truth." Yan Ge nodded with satisfaction, faced Chu Mo, and suddenly hesitated, muttering, I really am still." Xian Xian pinched Tian Ji's leg. Yan Ge closed her eyes and asked the question she wanted to ask the most. Do you have someone you like?" Chu Mo looked calm, as if this question was not a problem. Yes. As soon as he opened his mouth, the whole place was in an uproar, and there were many discussions, and a few of them glanced back and forth at Zhao Shi and Yan Ge with ambiguous eyes. Yan Ge was startled. Who is it? Her voice was obscure. She was worried that she would hear Zhao Shi's name from Chu Mo's mouth, but she wanted to know. Chu Mo said, "This is already the second question." Section 6. Argument. Catching insects. Yan Ge was stunned. "Oh. Do you want to discuss the fastest way to say no?" One word already let her know how the other party hooked up with or was hooked up with her at the same time. To put it simply, she was cheated and kicked. In the next round, Yan Ge had already lost interest. He randomly drew a card, but he no longer even had the interest to look at it. Zhao Shi, on the other hand, snorted after seeing her own cards. Yan Ge didn't know that this man was humming well again when he heard the other party's proud voice. "Show your cards, show your cards." Sure enough, Zhao Shi drew the highest card. She couldn't wait to turn up her nose to see if she looked like a pig, so she would be damned if she didn't draw the highest card. But what made Yan Ge slightly concerned this time was that Chu Mo got the second best draw this time. Yan Ge did not show her cards decisively. She thought that it would never happen if the house leaked and it rained all night. Soon, she heard Zhao Shi's voice. "Have you not shown your cards yet? You hid your cards on purpose." Yengu opened her eyes wide, and just as she spread her cards, she felt the urge to play with a big rock in her chest. Does she have the smallest card? Her cards are the smallest. The rain is leaking a lot, okay? Zhao was naturally reluctant when he saw this situation. Oh, you really have a good card. Yengu didn't say anything, but Xian retorted, it's not as good as the hand you were dealt. Zhao face turned pale, as if Xian had stabbed him in the weak spot, and he directly opened the knife on Yengu. I'll just ask the question directly. Zhao stared at Yengu and said word by word, do you still have an unrequited love for Chuemo? Yengu was silent, glanced at Chuemo, and seeing that the other party didn't seem to care about her, he said coldly, I choose to take a big risk. CIO, something bad happened. Was she confused by the tease? Why did she choose a big adventure? It would be better for her to pretend to have a headache, stomachache, and various pains than to take a big risk. Sure enough, Zhao didn't look like he was ready to let her go. Zhao laughed and said, you said this yourself. Then go and kiss the heterosexuals present. Anyway, Yu Yengu has always been known as a beauty, so it must not be too hard. Yengu glanced around casually and heard one of the men joking. Then we really came to the right party today. We are so lucky. By the way, I forgot just a kiss, and it must last at least 20 seconds. How about that? 20 seconds is not too much. Zhao eyes were full of malice. As for the target, Chuemo, how about you decide? Like a lightning strike, Yanji's pupils suddenly shrank. She bit her lower lip tightly until it turned blue and white, and looked at Chuemo. I saw the corner of the other party's lips twitching, and he softly said one word. Okay. Yengu swayed for a moment, took a deep breath, and looked around again. Whatever. Random. Anyway, Chuemo didn't care about it for a long time, and Yengu just started playing with it. Chuemo's eyes deepened, as if there was a mass of ink that could not spread. After a long time, he smiled in a low voice. Really? Can anyone do it? Seeing that Yengu didn't say anything, Xian stood up directly and slapped the table. Chuemo, don't bully others too much. Stab it. The sound of something breaking on the ground immediately broke the deadlock. Following the sound, he looked over and saw that it was the cup in Zhao hand. Yanji's eyes were bright at this moment. Oh, this cup has a really deep bond with you. Why don't you take this cup back, offer it up, and worship it carefully to ensure that you will be a victorious general in playing cards. She smiled, picked up the cup in her hand, made a toasting gesture, and placed it on the table. As soon as these words came out, the whole place was in an uproar again, until Xian walked up to Zhao with a cold face, pulled out the cards in her hand, and threw them on the table, and said tightly, now everyone can see clearly, the last game should not count. It turns out that Zhao placed the hidden card in the hand holding the cup. Xian caught Zhao hand and was finally able to accuse him, but she didn't expect that a woman stood up from Zhao side and yelled, Yana, you are so shameless. Chuemo and Cici have already been a couple, and you, a bitch, penetrated her. Mr. Chu ignored you, and you still put your hot face on his cold ass. Waiting for the man to finish speaking, Yengu coughed lightly. Huh? Are you done? Are you tired? Drink some water. Cici? Please, just go to bed. The man hit the cotton with all his strength, and suddenly felt unwilling. Just as he was about to open his mouth, Yengu stood up and spoke. No wonder PM 2.5 is reported every day. I'm really sorry. I have to take a step away. Of course, it is for the sake of the common blue sky above our heads. Everyone, we can meet again when we have time. Yengu really couldn't stand the smoky atmosphere, so she simply got up and left. Seeing that her face was not quite right, Xian also stood up and helped Yengu out. Yengu leaned directly against the big tree next to her. These days are really disgusting. She muttered, feeling someone pat her shoulder, and she spit out a big mouthful. Xian, thank you. She said this. As soon as she turned her head, she met a pair of deep and shining eyes. She was frightened and took a step back. She lost her balance and crashed into a big tree. Boom! Oh, it was really her sister's pain. Yengu complained, her eyes falling directly on the man's slender fingers. Why don't you comfort your little lover inside, and you will cry like a pear blossom with rain. If you cry like a strong wind, you will have to worry about it. Her voice was slightly hoarse. She had no idea that she could talk to Chuemo in such a calm voice under such circumstances. She wished she could make herself a god. Xian looked at Chuemo as if someone had touched her heart and blocked Yengu behind her like a chicken guard. What on earth are you going to do? His face seemed to be filled with other emotions, but he was still polite to Xian. Can you let me talk to her alone? Yengu said directly, if you want to, she won't stop you. Chuemo seemed to be completely used to her urinary way of speaking. He shrugged his shoulders and didn't care much. He stared at Yengu closely, opened his thin lips, and uttered 2 words, secret room. Even though she was still tipsy, Yanji's expression changed instantly. How did you know? She just came out of the secret room, but what about Chuemo? As if he understood the doubt on Yanji's face, Chuemo said directly, how about we talk alone, and I tell you why I know? Yengu was silent for a moment and said decisively to Xian, you go first. Xian instantly understood what Yengu meant, glared at Yengu coldly, and then said, don't hold me, and cry for a while. Yengu watched Xian walk away, then took a few steps forward. She felt that Chuemo was following her, so she got straight to the point. Tell me, how did you know? Section 7. The system is a strange species. Yengu would not forget the way home just because of Chuemo. Of course, she has not forgotten the fact that Chuemo understood. The night wind was cool and refreshing, and the stars were brighter than she imagined. Yengu will never forget this familiar feeling. On a certain day and night, the two of them were walking side by side. This distance before and after is like a vein, drawn and cannot be erased. The person following him was silent, so Yengo simply left him silent. Maybe the person behind him has used too many gimmicks, and the bit of false gentleness has been worn away. Now, it's even harder to find a topic. They walked all the way until Yengo reached the door. She took a step up and stopped without turning around. I think you probably have something to say to me. She turned around and let the cool breeze lift up her skirt slightly. She smiled at Chu Emo between her slightly messy hair. I won't blame you, but I won't love you anymore. If you want to hear my forgiveness, I will tell you. I forgive you. You can go. Inexplicably, this sentence was stuck in Yenji's throat, and he was unable to pronounce it. Chu Emo smiled and shook his head. He was still like the first person Yengo saw, smart, handsome, elegant, gentle, and at the same time distant. When she was getting along with Chu Emo, she was completely an outsider, wandering around but unable to get into his heart. It was probably not bad now, so Yengo forced herself to calm down. She finally pushed her hair and pretended not to care. You go. Chu Emo still shook his head. Yengo was annoyed and ruffled the ends of her hair randomly. What do you want? Chu Emo looked at her persistently, as if looking at his lifelong treasure. I'm waiting for you to recognize me, my master.